it's Natalie.
It's Emily.
Hey y'all, it's Madeline.
And I'm Autumn, and this is TWT.
Hello, everyone. It's Natalie, and welcome back to TWT. In today's episode, we'll be learning more about Career Connections and all the great resources and opportunities they have to offer for students. To help me do so, please help me welcome our special guest, Mallory Metz, a career consultant at Career Connections in the Denton campus. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mallory. Before we get started, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Okay, so hi, my name is Mallory Metz. I currently am serving as the career consultant for the College of Health Sciences, both on our Denton campus as well as our Houston campus. On the Houston campus, I primarily work with our nursing students there. And right now, I'm also working with our exploratory and undecided students. I've been in this office and in this role for a little over about a year and a half now. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to.
Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our first question for you, Mallory. What does the Career Connections Department do to help students out?
Yeah, so as you can probably guess from our name, we help students in every single facet of career. So the really cool thing about us is we offer different types of appointments and just services, resources in general. We're really trying to help students navigate this ever-changing world of work, right? Whatever that looks like for them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that might look like one-on-one appointments with your career consultant. I always say there is a me for every single college we have here on campus. So somebody is assigned to your college. So we can meet about resume and cover letter, interview prep. Even a lot of people don't realize we help with graduate school applications, as well as as reading like personal essays, even answering any other kind of questions there. We do job searching, different things like that, salary negotiation, anything you can think of that has to do with advancing your career, even graduate school, we can help with. So that's part of our office. We do those one-on-one appointments, but then we also provide programming throughout the semester. So we have a lot of workshops. Sometimes they're virtual, sometimes they're in person. Of course, you can also find us at our career expos, job fairs, whenever we bring employers on campus. But that's a good brief overview of what we're here to help students with.
That's awesome because there's a lot of students that are like first gen and they don't really have anyone to like go to, or anyone to rely on. And it's kind of like good to know that there's an office or a department specified to help students out what they want to do or after college life and that. Okay.
Yeah.
You kind of already mentioned it, but we will get a little bit more into it. What resources are available through Career Connections that many students may not be aware of, like that could possibly help develop their job opportunities after college or useful skills for their future?
Yeah, so as you were just mentioning, actually, I thought of it of being a first generation student in college. So that was me. I was a first gen student in undergrad and graduate school, and I know how to use Google really well. But we have so many resources, and I think students don't realize on our website. So careerconnections.twu.edu has so many resources. It can get kind of overwhelming, but there's a tab at the top when you go and it says learn how to, and it drops down everything you can learn how to do. So like you're talking about, maybe you are a first gen student or just for anyone in general. One thing our office does is career exploration. So even if you have no idea what you want to do, or maybe you didn't get into nursing school, or you actually figure out like you do not want to go be a teacher, you don't like kids, why would you want to do that? We can help you explore those things. We have online assessments that you can actually take. When you take those assessments, it looks at things such as your personality, your work interests, your skills, abilities, all those kinds of things, what you value in work. And it actually matches you with majors here at TWU and then shows you how those majors might feed into different careers. So that's one way I think students don't know we have that exists.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's awesome. Like a lot of students come in blank on what they want to do, or don't really have any idea, and it's kind of like, okay, well, it's kind of personal, and many people don't build up the courage to go up in person and ask for
Yes.
help. And it's like, it's online and it's free. It's paid for your
Exactly.
tuition, So
Right. And I think that's the big thing, right? You're already paying, students are already paying for this through their tuition. So
yeah.
definitely use us. We're really trying to push our marketing, follow us on social media, that we are so approachable. You don't have to come here with everything figured out. If you have never heard of a cover letter, you've never heard of a resume, that's fine. Let's start from there. There's no problem at all. So yes, look at our resources online on our website. Another really cool thing that our office does is we offer LinkedIn Learning. So whenever you create a LinkedIn profile, which I know we might talk about later on, that's really important, there's a section of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Learning where you can actually watch videos and learn new skills. Maybe you need to learn Excel, or maybe you're like, I'm not really good at managing my time. They have videos on that as well. This is whenever you are out of college and don't have access to it, you have to pay for these things, but we offer them to you for free. You just sign in with your TWU stuff. It'll link to your normal LinkedIn. So I would say that's another thing, good thing to use. And then the final thing I'll plug, which is always very surprising, we call our office and the services that we provide a service for life. Whenever you graduate from TWU, you can still use us. So alumni can use us forever. Yes, alumni come back. A lot of times, sure, it is our first year out of college alumni that come back to us, but we work with professionals who've been in a field for 30 years and want to do a career change. So we are here to help you throughout your career journey, not just in college.
That's awesome because, like once you leave, you're transitioning from college to like the real world or the job world, and you're like, what do I do? It's kind of different,
Yeah.
That's really cool. I did not know that. So I know you mentioned it, and I did scroll through y'all's website and I saw that y'all are in charge of like jobs on campus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see more about it. So what are some opportunities TWU offers to pay for tuition if you're struggling financially, like through the Career Connections department?
Yeah, so like you said, we help connect students with on-campus and off-campus jobs. So our main platform that we use is something called Handshake.
Okay.
Handshake is accessible. You can Google TW Handshake and get it, but it's also on our website. All of our social media has the link. Whenever you enroll here at TWU, you go through the registrar's office, right? They have all your information that syncs with Handshake. So you already have an account, whether you know it or not. You just log in with your TW information to get onto Handshake. Handshake is where you can make an appointment with your career consultant and also see all of our events. But to this point, you can also search for on-campus and off-campus jobs there. So say you are struggling financially, maybe you just want to make some extra money, whatever it is for you, we can assist you. We're not a job placement center, so we won't find you the perfect job and put you in there, but I'm more than happy to talk about what are some job search strategies. Let's sit and look together. Let's make sure your resume is tailored to that job. Let's make sure you ace that interview. We're more than happy to sit with you and walk through those things. So when it comes to the financial part of it, I think it's really us helping you to get a job. Another cool thing in our office a lot of people don't know about is we actually have a scholarship program for internships. So let's say you're doing an internship. It does have to be for our specific, it's called Urban Fellows is our program. For our specific program, it does have to be an internship with a government agency or a nonprofit. It could be a city government, anything like that is fine. And say it's unpaid, but who would not want it to be paid? So you can sign up for our program. You can do it more than once. So that's great. And we'll give you $1,000 for that semester. You just have to turn in your hours that you've been at that internship. We obviously make sure that everything is good and approved. You get $1,000 for it. So those are some of the little ways that we just try to help our students out.
That's really good because for as far as I know, most internships, you don't get anything out of it. It's kind of like self-learning and it's like, volunteering and stuff. So it's really cool to know that you can get a scholarship out of it.
Yes.
You did touch base on it, but how can you apply to an on-campus job? I know the software or the website we use is Handshake, but like kind of follow us through with like the process or like people looking into getting a job on campus?
Sure. So, yes, everything will be done through Handshake. One thing I do want to plug, every semester, normally it's the second day of class. Every single semester, we have an on-campus jobs fair. So definitely
I
look
got
out
my
for
job.
that. Yes. So come to that. So all of the on-campus departments that are hiring, and I know a lot are right now. I literally posted one for the civic engagement office yesterday.
Yeah.
Especially around graduation, right? We're having a lot of turnover. So definitely I would say join us for that if you can. Employers are there. It's a great from on-campus departments, and it's great to figure out and get the job on the spot. Be like, hi, I'm interested in being a editor at RightSite, right? I want to work with students and editing their papers, maybe. That's a great place to go to get those. So one, I would say reach out like that. The
Yeah.
second thing is use Handshake to your advantage when you're looking for on-campus jobs. So on Handshake, there is a filter you can put on for on-campus jobs, and you can look at all of the jobs. So all of our on-campus departments are required, both at Denton, Dallas, and Houston, they have to post on Handshake. So
Okay.
all of them will be on there. One little tip I like to give people, we're really trying to push that everyone puts like on-campus job as a filter for their job. Some departments forget. So in the search bar, if you just search TWU, it'll make sure that you're getting all of them pulled up.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
of course, be sure to read through the requirements. So if you are work study, if you're not work study, just look at those details. A lot of the postings also want your resume. Some want a cover letter, but really your class schedule as well.
Right.
So just be prepared whenever you are looking. Come meet with us. We can help you with that resume. But everything is done through Handshake. It's as easy as clicking apply. You enter in your information, upload your resume, and then the department will contact you if they want to bring you in for an interview, and then you should be good to go.
That's really good. One thing I'd like to add to that is like, I really like on-campus jobs because they work with your schedule, and it's like you
Oh,
have
yes.
a busy schedule, and if you can't make it to work or a shift, they understand, like they're aware of that, and it's like you're not committed to coming in because school is a priority to any on-campus job, you know?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a good thing. And I think it's worth mentioning too, not all on-campus jobs. I think people think they're like just front desk jobs. And it's kind of like,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to get from this? So
Oh,
I know myself, I supervise our career ambassadors. They run our entire social media accounts, all of them. I approve the stuff that goes up, they create it. So there are other jobs where you can actually get really good skills to use post-college as
yeah.
well on campus.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like my job, I'm a TW influencer for the Office
Right.
of Admissions, and it's like most of our work is done from the computer, or we run social media accounts, we create content, and it's like it works perfectly with our schedule because we're busy with school, but we don't have to go in and sit somewhere to do it, you know? Like
Right.
it's really convenient. So you did say it before, but we want to get a little bit more into it. What is work study? Because I know a lot of people are a little bit confused on that, or many on-campus jobs offer work study and some don't. Like, what is that?
Yeah, so I will give you a brief overview of what work study is, but I also want to make sure that I plug that work study itself comes out of the financial aid office. So if
Okay.
students have any questions about if they qualify for work study, specifically getting that kind of funding, definitely make sure to check out financial aid. So overall, what work study means is that if you will apply for work study through your FAFSA. So whenever you are filling all of that out every year, you can ask, I think it's a little thing you check to be eligible for work study, right? So let's say you check that, and then you have to also present a financial need for work study. So let's say you check it, you turn in all your information, and they come back and say, okay, you're approved for work study. So what does that mean? Work study essentially means that financial aid will pay the part of like the package that you get from financial aid. They will pay for, I don't know if it's always half, but a portion of your salary, your hourly wages,
Okay.
right? And then the office, like if you worked in Career Connections would cover the other half of that. So it's just because we get more financial aid if you present a need for it. So we're able to kind of work through that.
Yeah.
And it's great because then if we have work study students in our office and they're getting paid a little bit from financial aid, we're able to hire even more students because we have more
Yeah.
money in our budget to have students join us. So that is how you figure it out. Definitely contact financial aid if you think you should be eligible for work study or you're having any issues. Whenever you do get on Handshake, let's say you're applying for an on-campus job, they should say if it is work study eligible. If it is, then yes, if you're work study, you can apply. A lot of times they'll say only work study students. Maybe the department has a small budget, right? So they just need work study students. So that's the thing. If you are work study, you can apply for all jobs. Let's say that, right? Even though some of the other jobs maybe don't say anything about work study, it's okay. They can pay you out of their department budget. So that's a good thing to know. If you're work study, everything's open. If you're not work study, be sure that you're applying for jobs that do not require you to be work study, because you're not going to get those jobs. They're looking for those students.
That's great because it benefits everyone, like the
Yes.
students get paid, but also the departments have, enough fundings to hire more students or get more people to help them out. That's really good. So this is getting a little bit into you. What's your favorite part about working for Career Connections, and what encouraged you to obtain this job?
Yeah, so my background is in counseling. So I have my master's of science in clinical mental health counseling from UNT. So I graduated in August of 2021. So during that time, I was kind of looking for my next step. So I was doing a lot of work in trauma counseling, PTSD processing, a lot of things like that. But and I enjoyed it so much, but I've always had a love for higher education. I was really involved. I think that's how everyone who gets into higher ed is. So I was really involved in Greek life and student orientation staff whenever I was in my undergraduate career, fell in love with it. So I knew somehow I really wanted to get back to working with college students. So I'm able to come here and do career counseling essentially, and kind of blend my love of both of those things. So that's kind of what pulled me here. And another thing, which also ends up being my favorite part about it, is that I love working with the students here at TWU. Every single appointment I have, presentation I have, it is so enjoyable for me. One, yes, everyone is so nice and thankful for help and very appreciative. There are so many amazing, bright people, and specifically, of course, women here that are doing these really, really great things. And I love being able to even be the small part of them going into graduate school or getting into a different career and getting a job. So really, it's the students that we get to work with that's drew me here, and then also is just my favorite part of working here.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's great because you can tell you love to help people out, and it's not really just benefiting them right now, but on the long run or in their future, and you're like, oh, I had an impact in that. Like, it feels great, So with that being said, share a story with us of one of your favorite times that you helped a student out through Career Connections.
Yes. Okay. So I had to think about this one. I've had so many stories.
I imagined I was like, this is going to be a tough one because I feel like every day helping someone out is like, oh, I did that.
A story. Yes. So I actually have in my office, I have a wall. That's my words of encouragement wall. I had a previous supervisor that told me, print out those emails whenever students tell you, like, you helped me do this, you helped me through this. So on the hard days when I'm like, what am I doing? This is too much. I can look at those things and be like, this is why I'm doing it.
Feel better,
Yes. So I had a student that I was working with, really when I first started this job a year and a half ago. She was probably one of my first appointments that I had. And she is amazing. We absolutely just clicked as people in general. So I was helping her with her applications to get into school to be an audiologist. So we were going through graduate school applications, reviewing her resume, and then of course her letter of intent, like all those kinds of things together. And it was really cool. And this is something I guess I'll say for everyone. We had multiple appointments, and that is totally normal in here. So definitely if you have to come back, that's great. That's normal. We want to see you again. But we had so many different appointments, just talking through things, interview prep, and even those feelings of like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not confident enough in myself, even having those kind of conversations. And then it was great because she got into school where she wanted to go. And so it was so special to be able to share that whole process leading up to it, and even like be the smallest part of being like, you have this, like you can do this. And so, and then, she graduated, she's in audiology school. We keep up on LinkedIn. So that's one of my favorite stories. And luckily I get to have that so many times a day. So it's just really cool to see all of the amazing things that people can do with just a little bit of help, even from a career center.
Yeah, that's really good that you mentioned that like it's not a one appointment thing. If you need to come in several times, I mean, it's necessary, you need to talk to someone, you need help from people
Yes.
often. So that's really good that you mentioned that. What advice would you give to students trying to balance the student and work life?
That is a tough one. So I'm also this year been teaching one of the UNIV classes, and
Oh, wow.
every week we would have a question that we talk about. This one got asked multiple times. How the heck do I balance
I
all of
need this
this?
advice.
And I would always tell them, which I don't know if it was helpful or not. But as someone who recently got out of graduate school, I get it. I was just in all of that. One thing that I think I really had to learn for myself is that there is no perfect balance. I think it's really
Yes.
important to accept that, because if not, you're going to be working to achieve something that does not exist, and it will burn you out. You're going to be exhausted. You're always going to feel like you're failing, right? There's no perfect 50-50 balance, let's say, between your school life and your personal life, right? So just know that, and that is okay. And the balance can shift depending on what you're doing. So let's say you're in school and you want to get into the dental hygiene program, right? Okay, so of course your school is going to get a lot more percentage of your time than maybe friends and family. And not that that's not important. That's great to be intentional there. Just understanding that it's okay for those things to be like that, right? For now, when you're trying to work towards things. So I think really just understanding there's no perfection, perfect. I don't, and that's why I tell my students, I was like, I can't tell you the secret because I'm figuring it out, because it constantly
Yeah.
is changing.
I feel like there's
So,
always that self-guilt, like, oh, I'm not spending
yes,
enough time with my friends or my family, or I need to, push up
right.
in school. And it's like, oh, I don't know where to go. But you're right. It all depends on what situation you're dealing with. Like,
Yeah,
if you have an exam coming up, obviously you're not gonna go out all weekend. Or
right.
yeah, it all depends on
Yeah.
situation to situation basis.
Right. And of course, I could say, yes, use a planner, write everything down, like look at your priorities. Yes, there are tips like that.
Sometimes it just gets hectic.
It gets hectic. And maybe that works for me. A planner cannot work for you and be like the worst
Yeah,
possible thing.
I agree because I've
So,
told some people like, "Hey, my planner keeps me on track," and they're like, "I just can't use one." Like, I write it down and I don't even look at it. So I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
it's just
you have to find what works for you.
yeah,
That goes with studying and then also with like achieving that
anything.
balance.
Yeah. So how is having a LinkedIn account beneficial?
Super beneficial. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one, you can access LinkedIn Learning. I use LinkedIn Learning. I learn new skills all the time. It has saved me in learning Excel. Trust me, it's very difficult, but those videos are great. So that's one way. Also, though, LinkedIn, one, get it while you're in college. We will help you build your profile. So it's really easy. But there's really two main parts of LinkedIn. So one, of course, is using LinkedIn to find jobs. Their job search engine is amazing. A lot of companies post on there. I don't remember the statistics, but a large number, it's the largest. LinkedIn is the largest like social networking for jobs, right?
Wow.
Career network that there is. So that
And
is
you
one
can
reason
use
why.
it after college. Like, it's not just for college students.
It's for everyone. Yes.
I didn't
So
know that.
you can sign up. Of course, if you sign in, let's say you use your TW email address, that's fine. If you need to update it later on, that you can do that as well. But this should last like a lifetime, let's say.
Wow.
It's pretty much like a living e-portfolio. Okay,
Yeah.
because on LinkedIn, yeah, you can search for jobs. You can also upload your resume and all of your experiences and things. So guess what? A recruiter can see you and say, hey, you would actually be the perfect fit for this job. Are you interested in this? Which is amazing. It takes some of the legwork out of it, but also you can connect with other people in the industry. That's always what I do. So even if there's a job that I want, and I'm like, how do I become that? I
Yeah.
love to search through people and see, okay, so that's what they're doing now. I'll go look at their profile and be like, okay, they had this job before, they got this degree. I can see that they have these certifications. It gives me an idea of like what I need to be
What you
doing for
need. Yeah.
myself. And it's so cool because you can actually connect with other TW alumni, which is even better. It's easier to reach out, be like, hey, I also went to TW. I have a question about how to get into, I was working with someone who wanted to be in sports management. And that's a hard field to get into, right? You're
Yeah.
going to need to have connections. I wanted to talk to you about your, career in sports management. So it has a lot of benefits on there. You should keep it updated just like your resume. But in the professional world, I promise you, the employers are going to Google you, and what you want the first thing to pop up is your professional LinkedIn profile, and not your Facebook from 10 years ago. So it's important.
Yeah, I didn't know that you could well, I knew college students used it to get jobs and stuff, but I didn't know actual companies after college used it as well, or to find jobs. And that's really cool that you can upload your resume and kind of don't have to do it individually while applying to jobs. They kind of come to you. That's really good. I like that. So why is it important for a student to prepare for the what you would call the next steps, or building their resume and knowing how to navigate through a job interview and things as such?
Yeah. So, okay, I'll start with asking you a question, if you don't mind, as we answer this. Why are you in college?
Because I want to build a future that is going to benefit me and my future family, be financially stable.
Okay. Yes. And all of those things, that's why you're in college, right? And if I ask every single college student it's probably something along those lines.
Yes.
Guess what that all leads back to? You're in college to get a job,
right?
To do all of these things. And that is why we are so important. And all of these next steps are so important. And I think sometimes students forget that. You forget why you're in college. Yes. It feels like it's just what you do, right? We're in a society where a lot of people are like, you just go to college and it's for the experience. But no, you're spending all this time and money.
You're working towards your future.
You're working towards your future and building that. And in this case for college, that is a career and that is a job. And that is why we are so important. I think a lot of people view us as this auxiliary, it's just there if you need it. Yeah. And every time I do a presentation, I ask, isn't this why you're in college? Isn't that why you're spending all this money? You should definitely utilize our resources even just for that, to remember that we are very integral into your next steps post-college. I want to make sure that you are successful, not just here, but make sure we're setting you up for success afterwards. So that is why we are so important. We can help you with all of those steps, and people don't think there's any help with that. They graduate and they're like, wait, what now? So we really want to make sure we're trying and pushing really hard so that students understand that we are here to help you achieve the one goal you probably came into college for, right? For getting that job afterwards. You're here for that. That's why.
Hey, reality check. You just gave me a reality check. All right. Last but not least, how can students access Career Connections for any questions or help they may need? I know you put out your social media out there, and you mentioned you have ambassadors working that, putting information or workshops out there. So how can we reach y'all if we need y'all? You shared a lot of great information. Maybe resources a lot of us didn't know. Even me, I was like, what? Some of the things you said, I was like, I didn't even know that was covered by so yeah, how can we reach y'all?
Yeah, so the best place, we like to call our website a one-stop shop. So TW, I think it's careerconnections.tw.edu is our website. You can find us there. We have links to Handshake, which is where you can log in and stay up to date with events, make appointments, look for jobs, those kinds of things. On there, we also have a tab that says About Us, and it says Meet Our Team. And you can read a little bit more about each one of us. Yes, our professional life, but also our personal life. We have some fun tidbits about ourselves on there, and they each have our office direct line and our email address. But if you just are unable to do that, if you can just remember careers@tw.edu, that is our main email account. So if you just send something there, we check it off every day, so it'll get sent out to whoever needs to look at it. So also just something to keep in mind there. And then all of our social media, so we have a TikTok, we have our Instagram, we're at TW Career Connections on all of those things. So we're really trying to beef it up, for lack of better words, and make sure that we are putting it out there. And then of course we have a LinkedIn. It's TW Career Connections. I actually run that one personally. I post jobs all the time and internships all the time. I think people don't know it exists. So I'm doing the searching for you. I'm reposting it. Just check it out there. There's a lot.
I'm doing the hard work. You just got to go and do it.
I'm right here. I got y'all. Just go look at it. But yeah, that's how you can keep up with us.
That is awesome. All right. Well, Miss Mallory, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure speaking to you and learning so much more about not only career connections, but a lot of resources that students may not even know that exist or are covered by our personal tuition. So that was great learning about. Even me as a student, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go do that. But thank you
Yes.
so much for being a special guest in today's episode, and I look forward to keeping up with you.
We are ready. Thank you so much for having me.